What if you could remember every day of your life? Not the way most of us remember, with a few bright scenes and a lot of fog in between, but every day. What you had for breakfast, who you talked to, where you went, what you worried about. For most of us, that sounds impossible. It may even sound a little awful. Most days don't leave much of a mark because most days are too much alike. Uh, you get up, make coffee, answer a message, look for something you just had in your hand and wonder how it got to be 4:30 already. Nothing dramatic. Nothing happened really dramatic. The day simply passed. Then 5 years later, it's gone. There are people who don't experience memory that way. Mary Lou Henner is one of these rare examples. Give her a date from her life, and she can often tell you what day of the week it was and what she did. That's astonishing. It's also not how the mind works. My brain can remember the dumb thing I said in 1959 and with painful clarity, but it can't always remember why I walked into the kitchen. So I don't think I'll be joining Mary Lou Henner's club anytime soon. But there is another way to remember your life. Not perfectly or biologically, more like leaving a breadcrumb trail for yourself. For the last 15 years, I've used a one-line-a-day diary. Each page has space for the same date over 5 different years, and you get about 5 or 6 short lines each day. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't ask for much. You don't have to write, "Dear Diary, today I confronted the meaning of existence," while the dishwasher made a suspicious noise. You just write a few lines. Went to the doctor, had lunch with so-and-so, finished a book. Dog got sick, cold rain all day, worked on a video, felt tired, heard from an old friend, took a walk. That's it. No drama required, no literary ambition, no need to turn your life into a memoir every night before bed. After a while, those little entries become a map of your ordinary life. Now, before I go any further, talking about this book, I do want to say that I am not an Amazon affiliate, so I'm not getting a penny for talking about the little diary that I use. I wanted to make that perfectly clear to everyone. I can open one of those books and I can see what I was doing on this exact date 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or 1 year ago. You turn to June 12th and there it is. A few lines from 2014. Maybe you were dealing with something you'd forgotten. Maybe you were worried about a problem that no longer exists. Maybe you were having an ordinary day with someone who is no longer here. That last part can hit hard. The diary brings back the lunch errand, the phone call, the weather, the sentence, the somebody said something, the little details your mind threw away because it had no idea they would matter later. That's what makes this different from ordinary journaling. The one-line-a-day method works because it respects human laziness. That may be its greatest virtue. It says, fine, you don't want to write 3 pages? Write 5 lines. That's manageable. Even on a bad day, you can do it. After a few years, the structure does something interesting. You don't just write today's entry. You also see what happened on this date last year and the year before that. It's like standing in a hallway with several versions of yourself. Here's the version from last year complaining about the same weather. Here's the version from 3 years ago, worried about something that worked out. Here's the version from 5 years ago, doing something you'd completely forgotten. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's boring. And that's part of the point. A life is not made only of milestones. It's made of ordinary days stacked together until they become a decade. Memory remembers the wedding, the funeral, and the move, big surgery, the job change. The diary remembers Tuesday, and Tuesday matters more than we think. Tuesday is where life actually happens. Tuesday is where you kept going, made coffee, paid a bill, and sat with your wife, fed the dog, read a chapter, worked on a project, or just stared out the window while the afternoon disappeared. Nobody writes a movie about that, but that's where most of the living is. A diary also gives you evidence, not dramatic evidence, just quiet evidence that you were here. The diary doesn't fix memory, but it anchors it. It says, no, this happened here. This was the year, this was the season, this was the day. It can also teach you something you may find a problem you thought might ruin everything, and then notice it barely got 3 lines before life moved on. That's not a bad lesson. Most of what we worry about doesn't deserve the amount of time that we donate to it. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this. Some people hate writing down anything, and that's fine. But there's value in keeping a small record of your days before they disappear into the general fog. Some days are dull. Some days are irritating. Some days are mostly just maintenance, but they were yours. A day can be ordinary and still be part of the structure that held your life together. After 15 years of doing this, I don't have perfect memory. I still forget names, dates, reasons, and why I opened the refrigerator. But I have a record, not a giant archive, not a heroic autobiography, just a few lines a day that say this happened, this mattered enough to note, this was part of the road. When I look back at these pages, I'm not just seeing what I did, I'm seeing time made visible, problems passed, people stayed, people left, habits formed, seasons repeated. Maybe that's the best most of us can do. We can't remember every day the way Mary Lou Henner can. We can't keep the whole movie in our heads, but we can save a few frames. We can leave a note for the older person we're becoming. And someday when memory says nothing happened, then we can open the book and answer, no, something did. I was here. Thanks for watching. And if you have a thought about it, please leave a comment. And I hope you get the little blue diary book and use it to your heart's content.